All right, going to call to order the special meeting of the Hollis School Board. It is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Normally, we don't have a regular meeting in July, but we needed to be holding this public hearing, so that is the purpose of today's gathering. So I will accept a motion that the board recess until the conclusion of the public hearings on the retained fund balance and special education trust fund.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, so we are recessing at 6:17 p.m. And now our deliberations. It doesn't have a public input portion of this, does it?
I think it's a separate.
It does not. It just has
She has a separate outline for the
public
hearing.
input for
Oh,
the
that's might what it'd be. What it is.
public hearing.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was like, wait a second. Where is this? Apologies. My computer is deceased and I don't have access to a power cord up here, so that's all right. Thanks. Thanks, Ms.
yeah,
Lehens.
yeah.
Thanks, Member Lehens, for coming in clutch.
My pleasure.
Do this, and then I don't know if you
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm going to open the floor for public comment right now at 6:17 p.m.
Should we
Do you want me to
just-
read that
we
portion?
should do this first. Yeah.
Okay, just kidding. I'm not opening the floor yet. This public hearing is conducted in accordance with RSA 198:20-C to obtain public input on the expenditure of funds from the retained fund balance. Gina Bergskog, Superintendent, spoke of discussions had on 11/6/24, 11/8/25, 4/2/25, and 5/7/25, and 6/3/25 meetings concerning the potential for a negative fund balance at year end. The negative balance is the result of contracted staffing in special education, which are our paraprofessionals, and in our support services. Options for addressing a negative balance include holding a special meeting to request additional funds, which on its own results in additional costs, or utilizing the FY26 retained fund balance, which if not used would be returned to the tax base as it cannot be carried from year to year. Revenue has exceeded the estimates budgeted for the reasons I just described, which resulted in a lesser amount of overage than would have otherwise been the case. The administration has been vocal about this all year and responded with a support staff contract that should alleviate the issue going forward. However, there remains the need to close out the current fiscal year. Being requested is the use of the full amount of the retained fund balance, which is $284,000, and an additional public hearing will be conducted requesting authorization to use up to $50,000 from the Special Education Trust Fund should unknown costs result in the negative balance exceeding that which is projected at this time. And now I'm going to open the floor for public comment. It is 6:19 p.m. Are you here would you like to speak? Okay. Just want to make sure. So there is nobody here who is wanting to speak at this time. How long do we want to leave it open at all?
We can close it.
Okay. So I am going to close public hearing at 6:20 p.m.
And then we'll move to the next one.
And we're going to move to the next one. This public hearing was conducted in accordance with RSA 198:20-C to obtain public input on potential expenditure of funds from the Special Education Trust Fund. The projected year-end fund balance is negative due to the number of contracted paraprofessionals the district had to hire during the fiscal year. A public hearing has been conducted on the request to utilize the full amount, $284,000, of the retained fund balance to address the negative balance. And the purpose of this public hearing is to address a request to expend an amount up to $50,000 should the negative balance exceed that which is currently projected. The current balance in the Special Education Trust Fund is $166,000. So I'm going to open the floor for public comment on this public hearing, which is the Special Education Trust Fund, here at 6:20 p.m. Still no?
It's okay, you can just hang out. No problem.
Okay. I'm going to declare the public hearing on the Special Education Trust Fund closed at 6:21 p.m. Go back to our other one. Just for fun. Okay, so now I need a vote to reconvene, or do we just reconvene
We just
automatically?
reconvene, yep.
We reconvene automatically at 6:21 p.m. And now we're going to move into deliberations to see what action the board will take regarding the use of the retained fund balance and potential use of the Special Education Trust Fund. I'll take a motion to approve the use of the full amount of the retained fund balance, $284,000, to address the projected year-end negative balance.
Carol, just to ask a question first.
Sure.
Do we want to discuss it? Like, can we make this motion and then discuss a little bit?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly what we do.
Great. I
Yep.
just want to make sure. So moved.
A second? Discussion.
Gina, maybe you could just.
I was like, you better say
Yeah.
something.
I know that we had said throughout
Yep.
this year, right, that we were having huge budget costs because we were having to contract paras, which is so much extraordinarily more expensive than being able to hire them directly. And so we knew that this was a possibility the whole year.
Yes.
And also we were hoping to not have to do that. And actually we were hopeful that we might not have to do that. And so I just was wondering if you could update us about what changed.
So, as we get closer to June 30th and we close out POs or potential late bills come to us, we realize, we get closer to the figuring out whether or not we have enough money or we don't. So some years it works out in our favor and money is returned and then things come out in the black. And this year that was not the case. In addition to contracted services, there were also some placement shifts that required additional funds that had not been budgeted for. So unfortunately we are, fortunately we have the special ed trust that we have the ability to have a mechanism for additional funds, and we have the retained fund balance, which its purpose is really to help us out in situations like this.
What does that mean we had placement? Did you say placement shifts?
Yep, so when there are student IEP decisions that are being made, sometimes placement or services change, and sometimes that can fluctuate costs pretty dramatically.
Okay.
So is the 284,000 what is in our retained fund balance, or is that how much we are in the red? I'm sorry, it wasn't clear to me.
Sure. So we are, because things are
Things are
continuing
still
to
getting
finalize in
Gotcha.
July and into August, the auditors are going to tell us exactly how much
Okay.
they're determining is like that cut point of you need this much more money. So we're requesting the full 284 plus,
Okay.
bless you, plus potentially up to 50,000 more.
Yes.
And we
okay,
think that
makes sense
will
then.
make us absolutely in the black. When we come back in August, I'll have a better answer for you.
Sure.
Actually, I might have the final answer for you. The audit should be complete, but I'll absolutely have the audit report with that final number in September.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Are we expecting that balance to get hit at all by so there was an article recently in NPR, fiscal year 25 on the Fed side is holding back education funding. Are we do we know if our state or anything's gonna get hit by that and trickle down to us, or?
So what they're holding up on are some of the federal grant programs, and so that wouldn't affect FY25.
Okay.
So, for example, we should be accessing grants that should have opened July 1, and we don't even have a clue as to what potential allocations are being made. We know that the money should be there because it's like a 2-year budget cycle, so it was already there. The likelihood of those grant funds being available in 27 is pretty close to zero. So what you'll see as we started to build our budget request for FY27 is the grant funds that we've historically received from the federal government, I'm shifting to the budget just in case they all disappear. I want to be able to continue to program as we have been.
Yeah, and I only asked because, again, it was affecting fiscal year 25 and not the projected futures, so that was
Yeah.
why I was asking. Yep, okay.
I have another question, Dina. So obviously we're not going to talk about the specifics of any kiddo's IEP meetings
Yep.
at this meeting. And we have a responsibility to, fulfill the IEP requirements for any kiddo. It seems like maybe the placement shifts were unexpected, given that we are having to access the retained fund balance. And so I guess I am just wondering, is there anything that we could do for us to think about to not be caught off guard by a placement shift like this? Or maybe it wasn't unexpected, or, you can correct anything I've said there, but.
Well, the Special Ed Trust hasn't been around for that long, and that's one thing we did put in place to help support us if something comes up that's unexpected or not planned for. Sometimes it's a move in or a move out. Sometimes it's
Yep.
the opposite. It's a move out, and that helps us. Sometimes there's just a dramatic shift that we've done everything we can, and some costs are unavoidable. But that is one way that we can plan proactively. I will share with you moving forward that we did have to move forward with the additional kindergarten teacher that was not budgeted. Not only does that give us a space constraint, but for the first year in many, many years, we didn't have a contingency fund for FY26 because the budget committee was concerned about the overall budget and the contract sizes, et cetera. So we don't have a contingency to help support that additional kindergarten teacher, but we did have to move forward and hire him. So already we're starting FY26 a little bit tighter than we typically do.
Thank you
On
for
that, what is the current enrollment for kindergarten?
As soon as I said it, I thought you're probably going to ask me what to
I can tell you what it was in June.
I know what it
89
was a few
students,
weeks
and
ago.
I
No,
was
at our
curious
meeting,
what
it
it's
was
turned
already up
into.
to 86 when we
It was
met.
89 at the meeting, actually. I don't know if
Was
she,
it 89? I was
it
about
was-
to
yeah,
say
it was
89, but I
89.
thought
because I said,
no.
call it, don't tell me until it's 88. And then
Yeah.
she's like, how about 89?
Yeah.
So I would imagine it's in the 90s. I
than that.
personally already know of a family that moved from one town to Hollis with a kindergartner. So if they're planning on
So at
attending
least
our schools,
90.
we're at 90. Yeah.
Okay.
I know of a family that had theirs doing private and wanted to switch over to us. So, yeah. Who knows? I don't know if they're registered yet.
I mean, most of my colleagues are worried about declining enrollment. So I guess it could be worse.
Absolutely. Any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the use of the full amount of the net retained fund balance of $284,000 to address projected year-end negative balance?
Thank you.
400. Thank you. I will accept a motion to approve the use of an amount up to $50,000 from the Special Education Trust Fund should the year-end negative balance exceed that which is projected at this time.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion on this one?
I think we addressed this in the.
Yep.
I'm just glad we have it, and thank you taxpayers for always approving it.
I know,
So-
right? All right, so seeing no more discussion, all those in favor? 400.
Thank you.
There is nothing else on this agenda for tonight, so I will take a non-debatable motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? 400.
Thank you.
The meeting was adjourned at 6:29. Thanks, team.